Donald Penza will always be remembered in the official records of the IHSA. As coach of the Marian Central Hurricanes, he posted 69 wins and led them to 3 Class 2A state titles in football. But to those who knew him, he was more. A teacher, a friend, a hard worker for his school and his community, a devoted husband and father. Those who remember him will see him not just as a football coach, but simply as the coach.
Good evening, I'm Brian Adams. The sudden death of Don Penza on April 8th of 1989 came as another shock to a Marian Central class and community, a group that has suffered many rough times in the past year. But tonight we remember Don Penza for the legacy he left behind, a winning football tradition that serves as a manner from McHenry County and to the state of Illinois. In a few moments, we'll take you back to the first and perhaps proudest moment in Marian's football history, the Hurricanes' first state title from 1983. But now let's recall an historic moment of more recent vintage. Marian's most recent state title came on November 27, 1987, where they defeated Deer Creek Mackinac 35-6 to clinch back-to-back state championships. As it turned out, this would be the last time Don Penza would wear the champion's crown, and even though it seemed like old hat in the town of Woodstock, many still turned out to the victory parade and victory rally at the high school gym. At that gathering, Don Penza paid tribute to those who helped him along the way. Wisconsin in 1932 and played during his high school days at St. Catherine's in Racine. He moved on to coach at the high school level, ending up at Wisconsin Rapids. As well as he led the high school team to a Wisconsin state title and became a community leader, serving as mayor. When he came to Marian in 1981, the Hurricanes had been on a downswing, but his philosophy of letting the team call its own plays and making them run their own game helped turn things around. He gave them a 7-2 season in 81, just missing the state playoffs. But 2 short years later, perfection. And the strength of future Iowa quarterback Chuck Hartley's skill, he led the Hurricanes to a perfect 13-0 year on their first-ever state title. Ever since, Marian Central has been a perennial state contender, losing the final in 85, of getting back-to-back crowns in 86 and 87. In his 8 seasons at Marian, Penza wrapped up a record of 90 wins to just 18 losses. But Brown Penza will not be remembered just as a state champion coach or as a groomer of great collegiate spies, but as someone who inspired young men to play and to think on their own, on the field and in life. In Brown Penza's memory, we now present a special rebroadcast of the Hurricanes' 1983 state championship game. Things were very different back then. No sports channel feed, so we produced the game ourselves. At that time, TCI was Lake's cable vision. Our programming was shown on Channel 3 instead of 36, and the equipment we had was, well, different. But unfortunately, the changes here at TCI over the past few years made us lose track of part of this game. We only had the second half of the game available, but most of the action took place in that second half, so you'll be able to enjoy the best parts. So let's go back now to November 25th, 1983. The scene is Cental Stadium on the campus of Illinois State University in Bloomington. Marian is meeting the Saints of Bloomington Central Catholic. The score is tied at 8 as we join the game at the start of the second half. The announcers are Dan Stilowski and Bill Day.
In the first possessions won the first half, the Hurricanes had it 7 times, punted 5, and had a touchdown. The 12-yarder to Chris Brown with 6:02 left in the second quarter, and the Bloomington Central Catholic squad had about 6 times, 3 punts and 2 interceptions, one each by Dan Fortin and Darren Fortin, and of course their 47-yard touchdown pass to Bob Brady. The 1A game ended up in a tie, Dan. I wonder if we will be ending up in a tie, or if we'll see a little more offense this time. Certainly every time we're making an exciting finish. Dave Skolkowski just about ready to kick things off for the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints. Back did to receive the big three, I guess, Dan Fortin, Chuck Hartley, and Jim Mass from left to right. Low line drive kick will be taken by Chuck Hartley to the 12. He's out to the 20-yard line, right up the gut to the 30, and he's dropped at about the 32-yard line. Dave Sachs, his name we've been mentioning all day, in on the tackle. Chuck Hartley did a fine job of fielding that punt, Dan. That ball was bouncing. He fielded almost like a shortstop that time, came up with it, and took it up the middle and brought it out to the 32-yard line. So the Hurricanes have it 1st and 10. Pretty good field position up there on 32-yard line. Andy Hartley and Dan Fortin in the backfield. They hand out to the second back. Dan Fortin to a big hole. He's out over the 40, the 45. Bob Brady bumps him out of bounds at the 41-yard line of Bloomington Central. And what a strike there for Dan Fortin and the Marian Central Hurricanes. So at the last minute, we found the wide receiver on the left side, moved into his tight end spot, Jim Mass, and he was able to throw a block on a man over him. They opened up that play. Fine job. They had a stunt to the inside with the linebacker. Good job on hitting the hole, getting to the outside, and getting a good game. One of the better running games for Marian. And Kurt Wisely did a nice job to bump the defensive end out of the play and open up that big hole. 1st and 10 now.
Inside Saint territory at their 42-yard line. Chuck Hartley goes to work for the Hurricanes. Straight back, Chris Brown, and poorly thrown pass.
Well, he underthrew that one, Dan. I didn't think he had that much pressure on him. It looked like the ball, he just hung on to it a little longer than he really wanted to, and the ball just went down into the ground.
It looked like it may have slipped out of his hand because it went only about half the distance to his receiver. Chris Brown was open on the far sideline on the out pattern, and we'll have to look to them to come back to that. 2nd and 10 for the Hurricanes. Just underway here in the second half. The score tied at 8 apiece. Straight back, Hartley has to roll out of it. Big rush by Dave Sock. Upfield, it's Chris Brown inside the 35-yard line at about the 34. They'll spot it'll be 3rd and still a couple of yards to go.
So he's going to be about 2 yards short. That time, number 55, Marty Harris, the linebacker for Bloomington, came in hard, but he was picked up, and they picked up the blitz. Chuck Hartley was able to roll a little bit to his right, pick out his receiver, Chris Brown, and get an 8-yard gain.
And there we saw the arm of Chuck Hartley the way we expect to see it. He drilled that ball in there to Chris Brown. Chris Brown coming back nicely to make the grab. Wanted a couple more yards, but came back a little bit too much to pick that up. So 3rd and about 2 yards to go for the Hurricanes. The ball at the Saints 34-yard line. Andy Hartley has it off the right side. He has the first down to the 30-yard line of the Saints.
Good job that time of blocking on the right side of the Marian line. They were able to open up that hole, They were in a position where they could have run twice there, Dan. They were down on the 32-yard line, only had 2 yards to go. But now they've got their first down on the 30. Seem to be moving the ball.
So 1st and 10, the ball spotted the nose just over the St. 30-yard line. Just 10.5 minutes left in the third quarter. It's a bootleg to Chuck Hartley. He has one man to beat. He gets outside at the 30. He's down to the 20, and he's driven out of bounds at the 17-yard line, making the saving play, number 8, Bob Brady, from his safety spot.
All right, we'll watch this on a replay, Dan. We'll see a fine run here by Chuck Hartley. He runs a bootleg pass pattern over here to his left side. He fakes to his back, going through the right, keeps the ball, makes a nice fake there on the defender. Faked like he was going to go inside and went back outside, got to the sidelines, and got a good gain.
You can see that 4.6 speed as he got outside Dan Krause, number 88. 1st and 10, the ball at the 17-yard line of the Saints. Second back through. Dan Fortin, a lot of room on the right side. He's down inside the 10 and tripped up at about the 8-yard line.
He saw some room inside, Dan, and then he was out there on the hash mark where it's a little bit slick, and he took a slip there as he made his move in. Otherwise, he may have gone a little bit further. Fine fake there by the first back. Open up the second back.
That has really opened up since Andy Hartley has been effective up the middle. Second and about 8 yards to go. The ball inside the 10 at the St. 9-yard line.
2 yards to go.
Andy Hartley up the middle has it, and he may take it in. Hartley from about 9 yards out, and the Hurricanes are back on top.
Fine defense, fine offensive drive that time, Dan. They came down, marched the ball about 70 yards, mixed it up with a couple of passes. Here we'll see on the replay the touchdown run. This time we'll see that Andy Hartley takes the ball up the guard spot, makes a good play into the middle, and runs in for the score.
And we'll have to suspect that the Hurricanes are going to go for the two-point conversion as they normally do. And they do go into the offensive set, so it will be a two-point conversion try.
Two-point conversion attempt.
We have the slot left. Hartley rolls to his right, pitches to Dan Fortin. He doesn't have much out there, but he cuts it outside. And he
Beautiful
gets in.
job of running.
Great individual effort by Dan Fortin.
Yes, he had 3 defenders out there to stop him from getting in, Dan, and he just put his shoulder down and went in for the score. Beautiful run that time. We watch on the replay. We find a pitch out from Chuck Hartley. Comes out to Dan. Dan takes the ball. You watch now, he has 1 or 2 defenders out there in front of him. He just put his head down and dove for that flag.
And I was very impressed. I thought it was all over. He got out there and there was nobody but black shirts out that way. Dan Fortin used the quickness that he possesses, only a junior, and as we mentioned all along in the playoffs and throughout the season when we covered the Hurricanes, that Andy Hartley and Dan Fortin will both be back in the backfield for the Marian Central Hurricanes next year.
Beautiful scoring drive.
With 9:32 left here in the third quarter, the Hurricanes back on top, and it's Rich Huber to kick off, number 11. Back deep to receive is number 21, Nelson. High end over end taken by Nelson at the 12-yard line. He's going to bring it right up the middle. He's out to the 20, the 25, and it's Steve Stilling along with, looks like, number 10, and that would be Pat McConville on the special teams, the big special teams performer this year that makes the play.
Out to the 34-yard line where they'll put the ball in play. They're going against the wind. Pretty good return. They brought it up the middle, but Marian closed it down quickly, and he had to shoot to the outside just a little bit.
1st and 10 at the 34-yard line of the Saints. Doug Mays with Elvis and Zokowski in the backfield. It's the second back, Zokowski, but he's dropped in the backfield. The first man in that time was Al Van Landen along with Tim Bussey.
All right, this time he goes back and gives the ball deep in the backfield to his back, Dan. But if they're going to run the ball, they cannot go back that far against Marian's line. Marian's line will be in there. If Bloomington's going to beat them, they're going to have to beat them with runs that are quick hitters. They're not going to be able to beat them by delayed plays.
So we may see them shift to the deuce backfield, which they do on this play. Get them a little closer to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 12 for the Saints. Mays back to pass. He wants Zokowski in the flat. He has him at the 30, but Darren Fortin dropped him just to pass the line of scrimmage. An excellent read by Darren Fortin coming from his middle linebacker spot.
Yes, they're going to watch Dave Zokowski. I'm sure that's one of the things Coach Penza worked on at halftime. He is their best ground gainer. They're keeping an eye on him. That time he completed the pass for about a 1-yard gain.
Jim Nelson comes back into the ballgame with a play for the Saints. Number 21, one of the ends for the Saints. Third and about 11 yards to go for the Saints. Chakowski goes in motion to the near side. Mays rolls that way, looks upfield, and he throws into coverage. Chuck Hartlieb has it at the 47. Hartlieb's down inside the 30 to the Saint 25, and a big interception. Bill, as this could be the chance the Hurricanes want to break things wide open. We look at Chuck Hartlieb, the safety, the free safety of the Hurricanes.
Played a good center field this time. He stayed back. He waited until the quarterback, Doug Mays, got the ball up in the air. He read the ball. It was a little underthrown. He was able to come underneath it and pick it off and bring it down the sidelines for a good game. There's the ball up a little too high. Chuck Hartlieb was playing center field that time. He picked the ball off and brought it down the sidelines. Good field position at the 26.
And not a well thought out pass by Doug Mays. Threw into a three-man coverage there, and it cost him. The Hurricanes have it at the Bloomington Central Catholic 26, 1st and 10. The handoff goes to Andy Hartlieb. He breaks a few tackles, and he's down inside to the 20 to the 15-yard line. It'll be a first down, apparently, for the Hurricanes as they really start to take charge, Bill.
Yes, and they shot a linebacker in almost into the hole that time, Dan, and he was blocked out by the pulling lineman. He was able to open up that hole, and Andy Hartlieb was able to make the cut up the middle. No linebacker was there, and he got a good gain for a first down.
It is 1st and 10, just outside the 15-yard line of the Saints. Andy Hartlieb again off the right side. He bowls someone over down to the 10-yard line. He took on Bob Brady, number 8, and just knocked him back a couple of yards, Bill.
Yes, Bob Brady at 155 is not going to be able to tackle those big backs coming out of Marian's backfield without giving them a gain. And that time he got a 5-yard gain, being met pretty close to the line of scrimmage, but bullying his way out for 5 yards.
It's hard to make that 50 pounds differential go back in the other direction. Andy Hartlieb on a nice run. Second and about 5 yards to go. The ball at the 10-yard line of the Saints. Second back this time. Dan Fortin gets outside, and he gets down to the 7-yard line, picks up about 3 yards on the play, perhaps, leaving a third and about 2 yards to go for the Hurricanes.
That's the same play they had the nice run on before when they were in their own territory, Dan. They moved Jim Mass up to the tight end spot, let him take the linebacker who goes over and covers them, set up, and then they kick out block by their tackle, cut inside, and get a nice gain.
So the ball spotted at the 7-yard line of the Saints. They're in trouble now, down 16-8. And the Hurricanes knocking on the door after the interception by Chuck Hartlieb. 6:19 left in the third quarter. Mass again shifts to a tight end set. Out of the deuce, it's the first back, Andy Hartlieb. He's met right at the line by number 55, Marty Harrison. He shouldn't have it, I don't think, Bill.
No, I think they were down deep that time. Marian, Paul Grakowski, and Tom Moore and Mick Ailwitz was in there, and it kept them from getting the first. 1 yard to go, though.
He has at least a yard to go. The ball has to just about nose its way to the 5-yard line. The ball spotted just outside the 6. The Hurricanes are going to go for it with 5:44 left here in the third quarter of play. Out of the deuce backfield, there's Chuck Hartlieb, the quarterback of the Hurricanes. He keeps it himself and dives over the 5 for the first down. A play again, Bill. They worked very successfully throughout the playoffs this year.
Mike Green fired out real quick that time, Dan. The 5'10", 190-pound junior that playing that center for Marian, he was able to take that step up and get his good yards.
Well, as the Hurricane fans know, Chuck Hartlieb went 29 yards once in the playoffs on the quarterback sneak, and not quite that much yardage this time, but they get the first down on the big 4th down situation, have only 5 yards to go, 1st and goal from the 5. Hartlieb keeps it, looks for Danny Fortin, and it's a touchdown. Danny Fortin all alone after the fake into the line. And that brings the score to the Marian Central Hurricanes 22, the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints 8.
Chuck Hartlieb does a good job here of just hanging on to the ball, waiting till his back. Dan Fortin clears into the end zone. As we watch here, he makes a fake into his brother. There goes Fortin from the backfield, out into the flat, all by himself. Good play, and they get their 3rd touchdown of the game.
And Bill, now we can see how big that interception is. They take it in for a score, and now they're down by 2 touchdowns and more, depending upon the outcome of the 2-point conversion. Hartlieb rolls to his right a little bit. It's batted down by Brady, intended for Al Van Landen. A nice defensive play, so the score remains with 5:14 left here in the third quarter. Marian Central 22, Bloomington Central Catholic 8.
He threw that into a crowd that time, Dan. He wanted to lob it over, but he just didn't get it up high enough so that Marian was unable to capitalize on that two-point conversion.
But the Saints, as you can look down at the sidelines, the next time we get a look at them, they are still up there trying to exhort the crowd to help them get fired up. Couple of the players leading cheers on the sidelines there to get themselves fired up to get back in the football game. Still an awful lot of time left, 5 minutes and then another quarter left to play, so 70 minutes plus left to play in the football game. The Hurricanes have taken charge, but it certainly have not wrapped things up at this point.
When you're defending state champion, Dan, you're going to be in there right to the end. You know that.
Rich Hoover, a low-line drive kick taken by Shokowski at the 16-yard line. He's out to the 25, the 30. He cuts it to the outside, and he runs right into the arms of number 78, Dan Lawler, who makes the tackle at the 33-yard line of the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints.
Pretty good field position. They're out to their about 34-yard line. And we have an official's timeout down on the field. We have an injured player for Bloomington Saints.
And that looks like it might be number 55, Marty Harris, one of their key players at the linebacker spot, Bill. First and 10 for the Saints at their own 34-yard line as we're back underway. Pitch goes to Shokowski. The ball's loose on the ground, and it looks like the Saints may have recovered it and will have gained about 5 yards. That's number 88, that's Dan Krause, the tight end, came up to make the big play, and Bill was loose on the ground for quite a while, and the Hurricanes could have had another big break.
Hurricanes had a couple of shots at it, but the ball bounced forward, and Dan Krause was able to get out on the ball and save another turnover for the Bloomington Saints.
And instead, they get a 5-yard gain, and we're happy to report to the Saints fans that Marty Harris, number 55, is up on his feet, trotting along the sidelines, and I'm sure we'll see him back in the game. Second and about 5 yards to go for the Saints. Fakes to Shokowski, rolls to his right, looks upfield, looks for Krause, but it's Danny Fortin. Oh, Bill, I could have sworn that should have been offensive pass interference on Krause because he grabbed Danny Fortin by the head as he went up to intercept the football.
Okay, we'll watch this on a replay, Dan, and it looked like Chuck Fortin was ready to take that ball, and the receiver on the offense came over his shoulders and came over his back. Here we'll see the play, unless he got his hands on the ball before he made the contact. But it looks like offense.
There's an official right there, eyeball to eyeball with those two guys, so you can't say they weren't looking for it, but it's hard to believe they didn't see it. 3rd and 5 for the Saints. Straight back this time, Victor Shokowski, he almost makes the grab. Chuck Hartley comes up and knocks the football away before Shokowski can get control of it, and it'll be another punting situation for the Saints.
So we're out on the replay. The ball was in his arm. He was just about ready to grab it and gain control. It passed right up over the middle. He's ready to put the ball into his arms, and Chuck Hartley made a good hit, bounced the ball right away from him.
So 4th down and about 5 yards to go, so Nick Albert drops back to punt once again. His first punt of the second half. He's kicking to Jim Mass and Dan Fortin. He'll be kicking things away from his own 25-yard line. He gets a nice high kick into the wind. The ball will hit at the 35-yard line, bounce inside the 25 where Fortin will grab it and down it at the 24-yard line.
24-yard line was not field position. I think they were expecting it, them punting into the rim. There was the opportunity there, Dan, where they needed a fair catch and keep that ball another 10 or 15 yards further up the field.
You have to wonder why they haven't done that, Bill, but Nick Alvis has been punting the ball very far, and they stand back in coverage perhaps a little bit too deep to come up and make the fair catch easily, and then perhaps they've been instructed to let the ball bounce, and that on a kind of a brisk day as the sun goes down, perhaps to drop the football. 1st and 10 for the Hurricanes, the ball at their own 24-yard line. 3:45 left here in the 3rd quarter of play. Second back, it's Dan Fortin. He cuts it up. He's out over the 30 and is dragged down at about the 34-yard line. Brady and Krause make the play for the Saints.
Good job of blocking by the left side of the Marian line that time. Darren Fortin, Kurt Rosen up a nice hole that time. We had a stunt over on the left side, but the stunt man did not have an effect on the play because Marian fortunately ran away from him.
Bill, already the Hurricanes have 5 first downs here in the second half in less than 9 minutes, where they only had 5 first downs in the entire first half of play. There's a measurement on the field as we take a look
Looks
at
like
it.
they're going to be a little short, Dan. Possibly just an inch or so.
Just an inch Oh, they're going to give it to him.
Tip the ball went over.
Referee Stan Block makes the first down signal. That'll be their 6th first down. So already, Bill, they have more first downs here in the second half than they had all of the first half of play. Obviously, the offense has come alive in the second half for the Hurricanes.
They've taken over the line of scrimmage, Dan, and that's always the sign of a champion. When you can control that line of scrimmage, you're going to win your football game.
3:25 left in the third quarter of play as the Hurricanes bring it up at 1st and 10 from their own 34-yard line. Slot right situation. Andy Hartley tries the left side, and he is out over the 40, breaks the tackle, and gets out to nearly midfield. Big individual effort by Andy Hartley, who did it mostly on his own, Bill, breaking several tackles, getting it out near midfield.
One of the problems that Bloomington is having right now, Dan, is they're coming up with their backs that weigh 155, 165 pounds. They're trying to tackle big Andy Hartley, who's coming out of that backfield at 200 pounds. The line is giving them that shot into the backfield, and those backs just can't bring them down quickly.
They have to be getting tired and pretty sore, and they made some big stops early on, but are having more trouble as of late. Inside 3 minutes. Again, 1st and 10. The ball spotted at the Hurricane 47-yard line. Danny Fortin this time drops right at the line of scrimmage. A nice play. Big explosion off the defensive line by the defensive end, Tom Moore, number 25.
Well, Tom Moore only weighs 155 pounds, but he made a slant movement that time, Dan, right into the hole. And if you can catch those backs before they get the momentum going, then you can bring them down. That time he got him right on the line of scrimmage, about a 6th game. See, the St. Hubert is having to jump around to keep running as the temperature begins to drop down near the 40-degree mark,
And will continue to go down as the sun is just about ready to drop up below the horizon here at Normal, Illinois State University. Second and just a little bit more than 10 yards to go for the Hurricanes. Hartley rolls to his right, throws upfield to Andy Hartley out of the tight end spot, and Hartley has another first down inside the Saints' 40-yard line.
Okay, again, that option play for Chuck. Chuck rolls out to his right. If he's got the corner completely free, he can run with it. As we'll watch here, he sees that his brother is wide open in the middle. He has cut a seam. He pops the ball up there about 10 yards, and we find another first down. Okay, here comes Chuck Hartley rolling to his right. Now, if he's got the corner completely open, he can run with it. If not, he throws the ball. Good coordination, timing play.
You have to think that the Saints would have picked up by now the fact that when Andy Hartley goes to the tight end
spot, that they're going to throw the ball to him. That's the second time he's gone there. I think maybe the third time, and the second time they passed it to him for a nice game.
1st and 10 once again. That's the Saint 39, right up the middle to Danny Fortin. He breaks a couple of tackles and he'll have another first down inside the 30 to about the 28.
Well, that time he moved up to the tight end spot.
And they may have looked for him to do something like that, and they ran Dan Fortin back up the middle.
Got a nice hole for him. Some fine blocking there
By Darren Fortin, Mike Green, Kurt Rosny got a nice gain, another first down.
Tom Moore, number 25, trots off the field for the Saints. We don't know if he's injured, but he's been a tough player, defensive end for the Saints, and he's now out of the game. 1st and 10 once again for the Hurricanes. The ball at the 29-yard line of the Saints. Quick pass to Tom Wills, now in at wide receiver. He fights his way to the 25-yard line.
Complete to 25, Tom Wills.
He's dragged down by, among other people, one of the big names today, number 50, Dave Sock, who came back from his interior defensive line spot to help out on the tackle.
Yes, he's a fine ball player. He moves around the field real well. He seems to be reads real quick, is able to avoid being blocked completely. He sheds the block. He gets into a lot of defensive positions where he's been able to make the tackle.
Tom Wills now leaves the football game, and Jim Mass returns at wide receiver. Second and about 7 yards to go for the Hurricanes. There's a flag on the play.
I'm afraid, Dan.
And Chris Brown started to line up on the left side and had to run all the way to wide right, and he cost the Hurricanes a delay of game in 5 yards.
Plus, he took a lot of time in the huddle, too. It's over here. Still second down.
5-yard penalty against the Hurricanes for delay of game.
That was one of their longer huddles, Dan, and I'm sure that's where the delay came. Must have called a pass pattern. Usually the call pass pattern takes a little longer in a huddle than those running plays.
Nearly in the end of the third quarter, only 25 seconds left. Second and about 11 yards to go for the Hurricanes. The fake, and Hartley fumbles the football out of bounds, fortunately for the Hurricanes. Dave Sock, and that's number 44, Mick Alvis, both in the backfield very quickly. And big play for Hartley, as the ball squirted out of his hands and went right out of bounds, and the Saints had no chance to pick it off and run it upfield.
He kept trying to avoid the rush. He was still trying to get the ball up over his shoulders so he could throw the ball, but he was running to his left. Makes it difficult to do. Fortunately, the ball went out of bounds, and he was the last one in control, so they maintained possession, but they did lose 14 yards while that happened.
The ball moves all the way back to the Saints' 43-yard line. 3rd and 24 now for the Hurricanes. 20 seconds left here in the third quarter of play. Slot right. Hartley has some time, rolls to his right, scrambles out, looks for Mass up the field. Mass has it at the 25 and down to about the 23-yard line, but they need to get to the 19, so they'll still be a little bit short, leaving about 4 yards on 4th down.
They're going to be needing almost 5 yards this time, Dan, but at least they're down in the position where they can go ahead and try for it. I don't think they'll be trying for a field goal, especially now. They'll be going into the wind. So it looks like they will be trying a 4th and 5 play.
That's the end of the third quarter of play here at Illinois State University in the 2A final. The score, Marian Central 22, Bloomington 8. It's 4th and about 6 yards to go for the Hurricanes. The ball spotted at the 34-yard line of the Saints, just about to get underway in the fourth quarter. Hartley straight back, looks for Chris Brown in the flat, and Brown's diving attempt cannot get there, and the Saints will take over on downs on the first play here in the fourth quarter.
Chuck didn't get his feet planted that time, Dan, so he could deliver the ball with a little more accuracy. He was still moving back when he threw it, and he just couldn't connect with Chris Brown, who did a fairly good job there on running a sideline pattern, which would have given them enough for the first down.
Well, with just a quarter left, Bill, the Saints have got to get something on track here pretty quickly if they want to get in the football game and have a chance to repeat as 2A champions. Doug Mays back to pass on first down. He scrambles up the middle. He has some running room, and Will slips down. He's out over the 30 to the 35. Rich Hoover wraps him up, and Chuck Hartley comes up and bumps him out of bounds at about the 35-yard line.
Fine job of scrambling that time by the Bloomington quarterback. Doug Mays did a good job of getting out of the pocket, finding that the linebackers had vacated and gone to cover the flat, ran the ball up the middle, got out to the sideline, and got a first down.
He made a nice move on Tom Will, number 25, and Will slipped down on the slippery sidelines here, and he got a lot more yardage after that, got out to the 36-yard line, a first down for the Saints. Mays hands it to Shokowski. Shokowski has a big gain, another first down, as he's finally dropped by number 22, Jim Mass, coming back from the far side to make the play.
That time, the back, Dave Shokowski, did a good job of cutting against the grain, found a nice hole at the line of scrimmage, was able to cut it to his left and get another first down for the Bloomington Saints.
And perhaps that big defensive stand by the Saints has inspired the offense here, as inspired they need to be to get back in the football game, down by 14 points with 11:22 left in the contest. Mays again straight back. A big rush put on. Wozni has him at the 35-yard line. And Kurt Wozni on the big defensive play.
He was pretty hard to bring down that time, Dan. Kurt Wozni, 6'2", got his arms up in the air. He couldn't be thrown over. The quarterback had to take a step back. Wozni kept coming and threw him for a good loss.
Kind of pushed the offensive lineman back into the quarterback and just kept running, and finally got his hands on Doug Mays. A big loss. It's 2nd and 21 for the Saints. Again, Mays straight back. Screen pass to Shokowski. Pretty well covered on the near side. It's Fortin, Darren Fortin, that is, coming up to make the play. A gain of only 3 or 4 yards back near the 40-yard line of the Saints, but they had that spelled out pretty well, Bill.
Yes, Tom Will was over there also and did a good job of containing his block, keeping the ball to his inside. There was really no room for the back to go.
And that big sack by Kurt Wozni puts a lot of pressure now on the Saints offense as they still have a 3rd and 19 situation facing them and winding down near the 10-minute mark left in the football game. Mays again, straight back, rolls now to his right a little bit, looks upfield, and Brady was there but slipped down, as did Dan Fortin, who was back about 6 or 8 yards. It could have been a completion and near a first down yardage, Bill.
You get over on the other side of that hash mark, Dan, and you can see the water reflecting in the light, so you know it's slick over there, and both backs, the receiver and the defender went down that time, and the ball just went untouched by anybody.
That'll bring up 4th and 19, and it's Mick Elvis back to punt once again. At least apparently will be punting. Kicking to Dan Fortin and Jim Mass, number 22. Elvis does kick away. Not a very good kick. It's going to come down just over midfield, hits at the 43, gets a Saint roll, but only bounces up to the 40-yard line before it kicks out of bounds. And so the Hurricanes will have it with 9:52 left in the football game. Good field position at their own 40-yard line.
That's twice, Dan. He has kicked with the wind and has not got as good kicks as he had when he was kicking into the wind. That one got off the side of the foot, went out of bounds just short of the 40-yard line.
Of course, he's punted a lot more today, Bill, than he probably has all season long in one football game. Both punters getting quite a workout in the first half. Ball just spotted inside the Hurricane 40-yard line into the double tight end. Handoff, second back through is Dan Fortin. He cuts it up at the 40, and he's chopped down. There's a flag, but number 5, that's Dan Flynn, came up to chop the legs off from under Dan Fortin, rather.
Elman Deasy did a good job that time, Dan. He came out and had the kick-out block on the end where Fortin was able to cut back to the inside. 27-yard line. Still first. Still one.
It was a clipping
a good
call.
run that time was nullified a fairly good running game.
That'll make it 1st and 22 for the Hurricanes. The ball moved all the way back to their own 27-yard line. The time on the side of the Hurricanes as we wind down inside the 9:30 mark left in the football game. Once again, they go to a tight formation. Dan Fortin runs. He's going to throw back to Chuck Hartley, and it's caught at the 30. He's out to the 40, to the 50, and he stumbles to the ground inside Saint territory at the 46-yard line.
Good flea flicker play that time, Dan, where we faked the run around the right end, throw back to the quarterback, Chuck Hartley. We'll watch this play now. The ball is handed off with a fake run by Dan Fortin around the right side. He stops, throws back to the quarterback who gets the ball, tried to make his cut inside, lost his footing, but was had enough for the first down.
Real close to being picked off, though, by one of the Saints defenders, and if that had been the case, it would have been a very, very different ball game. 1st and 10 for the Hurricanes. Andy Hartley off the left side. He barrels his way down for a first down to about the 35-yard line of the Saints.
Again, the Marian offense seems to, at this time, be outguessing the Bloomington Saints. That time, Bloomington had their stun in on the strong side of the field. They ran to the short side of the field and got a good gain.
Bill, at this point, as we're down inside 9 minutes, it becomes apparent that the Saints need a turnover or some kind of big defensive play to get the football back, perhaps an interception. They have had 28 on the season to turn this around, to get within one touchdown in the late going.
At this stage, Chuck's not going to take too many gambles, I don't think. It'll be difficult to get an interception.
1st and 10. Big rush. Hartley rolls out of it. He's almost caught again. He ducks it up inside, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and nothing more. Matt Harris makes the stop after Dave Sock chases him out of the pocket.
There are times when he may have tried to throw that ball, Dan, but it's just like I mentioned. I think right now he's going to play a little more conservative. He's not going to give him a chance to get that turnover. He kept the ball and accepted about a 1-yard gain or no gain at all.
We're down to 8 minutes left in the football game, and
the Saints, as we've mentioned, have got to turn something around here quickly if they have any hopes of repeating as 2A champs. 2nd and 10 for the Hurricanes. Second back, Fortin goes around the left side. He has some running room. It's Alvin who comes up to make the stop and drag him down at the 30-yard line. There were flags as the play went into motion.
With illegal motion that time, the back that went in motion was leaning towards the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped.
Looked like it might have been Andy Hartlieb in the fake dive play we've seen so much.
Again, they were shooting that linebacker.
Ball was pushed back to the 40-yard line of the Saints.
So we've got a 2nd and 15 situation now for the Marian Hurricanes.
2nd and 15 then for the Hurricanes. 7:30 left in the football game. The Hurricanes on top, 22-8. Second back through is fake two, then Jim Mass on the end around. He has Mike Green in front of him. Green makes a nice block, and Mass will get near the first down sticks at about the 26 or 27-yard line.
It's going to be about a yard short, but a fine play, Dan. They came back with the flanker coming around. As we watch it on a replay now, we'll see the fake to the right side. We see a fake to the back up the middle. We find Mike Green, the center, got out through a fine block, got very close to the first down.
And Mike Green chopped down the safety, Bob Brady, number 8, and really did a nice open field block on him to spring Jim Mass. Nearing the 7-minute mark left in the football game. 3rd and about 2 yards to go for the Hurricanes. Andy Hartlieb, and he has a big hole up the middle. He may take it all the way, but he's dropped at the 10, perhaps down to the 9-yard line. A saving tackle by Bob Brady, number 8.
Yes, Hartlieb is getting up a little slow this time. We got a good replay here. We'll see, again, the second back on the right side. The first back goes into the line block. Hartlieb makes the cut up. Here he gets scissors across, and a good hit. He got hit from both sides, one low, one high, but he's back up.
That was Nearington Brady that made the big hit on Andy Hartlieb, and he runs off a little bit shaken up, but with 7:12 left in the football game and his team up by 22-8 and driving for another score, he's got to be still a pretty happy young man.
They're very close. They could get a first down in there without scoring, but it's awful close. It's just short of the 10-yard line.
They can get down to about the 6-inch line and pick up another first down. Exactly 7 minutes left in the football game here in the 2A final. The Hurricanes have a 22-8 lead. Handoff went to Fortin, and the ball was loose, but apparently will be down. He'll get no gain, perhaps even lose a half a yard.
Keith Hess and Dan Flynn and Marty Harris for the Bloomington Saints did a good job of closing off the dive hole. They weren't able to get a thing.
Andy Hartlieb reports back into the Hurricane lineup. That's good news for Hurricane fans. The young man is fine, and he'll be probably carrying the football a couple times down near the goal line. 2nd and about 11 yards to go. Fakes into the line. Hartlieb rolls to his right. He's going to keep it himself, and he'll get to the 5, and he dives into the end zone. 11-yard touchdown run on the keeper by Chuck Hartlieb. That'll bring the score to Marian Central 28, Bloomington Central Catholic 8, with 6:04 left in the fourth quarter.
All right, we're watching the replay, Dan. This is that option play that they have where Chuck rolls out to his right. He's got the option. If the defense comes up, he throws the ball. If the defense stays back and plays his receivers, then he'll keep the ball. There he was going to pump. He keeps the ball, makes a nice move to the inside, gets scissors, but goes across the goal line for the score.
And again, Bill, you can see the athletic ability of Chuck Hartlieb. He outran Bob Brady, one of the speedy wide receivers and safeties for the Saints, and just kind of left him in the dust as he went around the end.
When that 6'2", 198-pound quarterback comes out there on those little defensive backs, it's pretty tough to stop him.
At a 4.6 speed. Rich Hoover's extra point attempt is wide to the right, so the score will remain Marian Central 28, Bloomington Central Catholic 8, with only 6:04 left in the fourth quarter. Maybe a little early to crown the champs, but certainly in the driver's seat are the Marian Central Hurricanes.
Yes, and they got about 4 minutes off the clock that time on that drive. Not only did they get the score, but they also ate up the clock a little bit, which puts the Bloomington Saints in a difficult position here, 20 points behind with just 6 minutes to go.
And that means, of course, they need 3 touchdowns, which is not a very likely occurrence with only 6:04 left and having only scored 1 touchdown so far this afternoon. Rich Hoover, number 11, will tee things up. We have a good look at him there as he calls his kickoff team over to huddle up and talk things over. Nelson, Chilkowski, and number 42, Dave Cotton, back deep to receive. A low line drive kick taken by Nelson at the 20-yard line. He's out to the 30, cuts it to the near sideline, gets past one of the Hurricanes out to the 35, and is bumped out of bounds by number 82, Jim Marinis, and a flag down.
Looks like a 15 is going to be added on the end. Hit him when he was out of bounds, Dan. Fine job of running that time. Marian did not contain him to the inside. Somebody is supposed to take that sideline and make sure the back cuts to the inside. Did not do it, so the pursuit could not pick him up. And then somebody piled on as he was going out of bounds. So it's a fine return, and then he's going to get another 15 yards on top of it.
We got first down. There's a late hit called on the kicker, Rich Hoover, and it will move the ball to Marian territory at the Marian 43-yard line, 1st and 10, just under 6 minutes left in the football game. Chilkowski comes in motion to the near sideline. Mays straight back, big rush by the Hurricanes. They may get to him, and they do back in Saint territory. That's number 71, Tim Bussey, the first man there.
Tim Bussey did a fine job of pursuit that time. The defense came in and swarmed on Doug Mays that time. He did not get a chance to set up, put his feet and turn it and square his shoulders away so he could throw upfield. Was thrown out of bounds for about a 12-yard loss.
And we do have some substitutions now for the Hurricanes. In the defensive secondary, number 24, Kevin McConville, is back at safety, replacing Chuck Hartley. Second and 21, it's a draw play to Chilkowski. A nice play made by number 71, again, Tim Bussey. Second big play in a row for that young man.
Tim Bussey has done a fine job. He's in on reserve today, taking the place of the Tunyon boy, and he's made 2 fine plays in a row, Dan. Threw the quarterback for a 12-yard loss and then made a tackle, that time about on a line of scrimmage on a draw play.
Steve Stilling now in a defensive tackle for the Hurricanes. 3rd and 18 for the Saints. Faked reverse. Mays looking deep down the field. He has a man there. It's Nelson, and Nelson has it. It's going to go 51 yards to the receiver, Jim Nelson, number 21. And the Saints have their second touchdown. They bring the score to Marian Central 28, Bloomington Central Catholic 14.
Very similar to the 40-yard pass that they had in the first half, Dan, that set up their first score. We'll watch the quarterback gets out of the grasp of the rush here. As we watch the replay, we'll see the quarterback fake a run here. He fakes a counter reverse, stops, pumps up, and throws. He had his receiver going on a fly pattern. The defense falls down. The back is able to run in without being touched.
Vic Alvis, number 44, will apparently attempt an extra point kick. The ball is blocked by the Hurricanes, so the score remains with 4:32 left in the 2A final. Marian Central 28, Bloomington Central Catholic 14.
Al Van Landau did that job, Dan. He came in with his 6-foot, 390-pound frame, was able to block the ball and keep the score at 14-point lead.
Well, with 4:32 left, the Saints need to do it 2 more times if they want to be the champions in Class 2A. And they probably will be lucky to get the football back 1 more time.
Well, it'll be a decision time now for Coach McIntyre. Are we going to try the onside kick this time, or should we wait and see if the defense can hold and then possibly score and then try the onside? But one of these scores, they'll have to try an onside, or the clock's going to run out on them. I'm sure Marian will be looking for an onsider, even if it doesn't come.
Dave Shokowski will kick things off for the Saints.
They're moving their second line up closer, Dan, so they're looking for it.
34, Dave Shokowski to kick off.
Shokowski, actually it's a kick by number 66. It's taken by, that's the big guy again, Tim Bussey. Number 71 makes the recovery, did a nice job to smother the football and keep the Saints from taking over on the onside kick.
Well, he's having a substitute's dream, Dan. He's been in on some big plays. He was able to cover the ball and prevents the onside kick from being successful. So I imagine Mr. Bussey is feeling real good about himself right now.
Well, that Marian defense has been tough once again, as they have been in the playoffs, with the possible exception of the first half of the Hampshire game in the first round. Under 4:30 left in the football game as the Hurricane fans are waiting to celebrate a 2A championship. The handoff to the second back, Danny Fortin, and he fights his way for a couple of yards out near the 50-yard line. Number 44, Mick Elvis, was the first man to hit him.
Bloomington Saints are going to play the run a little bit tighter right now, Dan. I don't think they expect Marian to come out throwing too much now with this much time. But knowing the Marian ball players, we wouldn't be surprised to see them throw a pass here, would we?
No, since they call their own plays, even if they are ahead, certainly if Chuck Hartley decides they want to go for something or want to work on something they've seen earlier in the football game, they're not going to hesitate. 3:40 left in the football game. The Hurricanes have a 2nd and 8. The ball just short of midfield. They think play-action pass. They throw it upfield. It's almost picked off by Bob Brady. It was Chris Brown who had to come back and knock things away from the defensive back, Bob Brady.
I think that kind of evened things up, Dan. We thought there was an interference call earlier on Bloomington Saints when it should have been offense. That time it looked like it could well have been the same thing. But like we said, Marian could come out throwing. They're not going to kill the clock just running the ball out with 3 minutes and 31 seconds left to go.
They do need to be careful to throw the ball to the sideline and let somebody pick it off and go for a quick score and be down up by only a touchdown with 2 or 3 minutes left. But that's Marian Central football. Wide open offense, 3rd and 8 for the Hurricanes. Bootleg, Chuck Hartley doesn't have much running room. Straight on with the first man, Kraus, and Kraus rolls him out of bounds in midfield. Maybe a gain of a half a yard, and the Hurricanes will most likely have to punt it away.
Dan Kraus came up that time and kept Hartley from being able to get around the corner. It was good defense by Bloomington that time. Marian gave the look like they were going to run to the left that time. Hartley kept the ball, came to the right, but he didn't fool Mr. Dan Kraus, who came up and kept him out of bounds.
4th and about still 8 yards to go for the Hurricanes, so Tom Will trots onto the field to resume his punting duties. Not been very busy here in the second half. It's actually his first punt of the second half. Bob Brady, number 8, back deep to receive. Will, big rush, nearly blocked, but Brady gets the fair catch just short of the Saint 30-yard line. The Saints have 3:18 and 14 points to make up.
Hey, Bob Brady, a couple times now in his second half has come up and made that fair catch, which is so important for field position. Keeps that ball from bouncing around and getting some additional yardage for the kicker. So Bob Brady, the junior, 6 foot, 155-pound safety for Bloomington, a couple times now has come up and made fine fair catches.
First and 10 for the Saints. The ball at their 29-yard line. That's Mays. He fires the ball well short of Bob Brady, his flanker.
That time we saw the defense, Mike Green and Chuck Hartley both had their hands up. It was difficult for Doug Mays to see his receiver that time. It might have even been ticked a little bit there, Dan, as it went out.
Certainly was well short of his intended receiver. Leaves him a 2nd and 10 situation, but that's not the key issue. He has 71 yards to go very quickly to take his team in to get within striking distance of the Hurricanes. The quick screen to Shokowski, and he's going to have trouble fighting his way back to the line of scrimmage as he's finally dropped. And there it is again. Tim Bussey, number 71, along with Darren Fortin, number 51, the middle linebacker, make the play as Shokowski twisted and squirmed his way and nearly broke things for a second there, Bill, but it closed pretty quickly on him.
Kurt Wozni did a good job on that. If we watch the replay, we'll see that, again, one of the reasons that the screenplay did not work is because a defensive lineman read it. Chuck Wosley's coming out there. There he is. He forces the ball back to the inside. He looks for a running room but can't find it. The defense swarms
back to live action. Mays scrambles out of the pocket. It's Brady up near the 40-yard line. He steps out of bounds about a foot shy of the first down, it will look like, Bill. And unfortunately, Bill Brady, or rather Bob Brady, didn't seem to know where the first down marker was. He could have stepped up a couple of inches and probably gotten the first down.
Well, I think he was concentrating so much on getting out of bounds and stopping the clock, besides getting the first down, that he stepped out of bounds before he got to the first down marker. If he had dropped his shoulder and gone up to the inside, no doubt he would have had the first down, but then he wouldn't have stopped the clock.
So 4th and still almost 2 yards to go for the Saints. This is it, I guess you'd have to say, for the Saints. They have to make this 4th down and push it in for a score if they want to have any hope. The ball to Shokowski, and he'll have the first down over the 40-yard line, but we're now inside the 2:30 mark. Rather, the clock stopped right at the 2:30 mark as they move the chains.
Shokowski lined up in the I formation as a tailback that time. They ran the play right up the middle. Here goes Bloomington without a huddle, Dan.
1st and 10. The ball right at the 40-yard line of the Saints. Mays takes only a couple of steps. It's going to be picked off almost by Rich Hoover. He was 10 yards, Bill, the closest player to the football.
Yes, he was dreaming a touchdown there, Dan. The receiver made a move to the inside. Doug Mays thought he was going to the outside. He threw it to the outside, and the only one close to it was Rich Hoover, the 5'10", 160-pound senior playing defensive back for Marian.
2nd and 10. We have only 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in this 2A final. Mays scrambles out of the pocket. He's being chased by Hartlieb and tries to throw it upfield. We'll have to wait and see. Apparently, it is a good catch at the 48-yard line.
Jim Nelson caught that one, 5'8", 145-pound end. Went out, caught the ball, almost went on his knees, and leaned himself out of bounds. And now they got about a 3rd and 3 situation.
But again, with only 2:14 left, it's not the first down situation that's necessarily that crucial. It's pushing it in the end zone and leaving themselves enough time to try the onside kick and to get the football back one more time.
Marian's playing fairly loose on that defensive backfield right now. Hartlieb's a good 20 yards off the ball.
Again, a quick drop by Mays. Throws it out for Jim Nelson, and Nelson could not make the diving grab. Rich Hoover again on the coverage.
We can see that Chuck Hartlieb is playing off about 20-some yards. He's just going to play center field right now, make sure nothing wrong is completed. They'll give him that short pass, but here they go with a 4th and 3. They've got to get the first down if they want to maintain possession.
Another tough situation. The Saints have been in these pressure situations before as defending state 2A champs. 23-2 going into today's game over the last 2 years, so they know how to win and know how to make the big play. Mays has to scramble out of it. Tommy Will makes the dive. He can't get there, but Doug Mays had to throw it, and he couldn't make the pass complete. He tried for Bob Brady, and that's going to turn it over to the Hurricanes, and I guess it's lights out for the Saints. Down by 14 with only 2:05 left, unless some major problem on the Hurricanes happens. The Marian Central Hurricanes are going to be the Class 2A champs for 1983.
Tom Will came in there real hard that time from his defensive right linebacker spot. They put the pressure on. Quarterback just could not get his feet still so he could throw the ball. Threw it incomplete, so Marian takes over now on the Bloomington 47-yard line.
1st and 10 for the Hurricanes. The ball at the Saint 47-yard line. Hurricanes still have the first-team offense on the field. Handoff goes to Dan Fortin. He breaks it up the middle. He could take it all the way. A straight arm at the 30. He's down inside the 15 to about the 13-yard line. And
we'll see a fine play here by the Marian Hurricanes. Run off to the right side. Dan Fortin follows Chuck Hartlieb into the line. He breaks to the outside, gets a good block downfield, and is able to get down to the 14-yard line for a first down.
And Bill, it's a very tired Bob Brady, a defensive back and flanker for the Saints, who made the saving tackle and wrestled and threw Dan Fortin down to the ground.
Trophies will be awarded to each of the competing schools.
1:37 left in the football game. The Hurricanes marching in for perhaps another score. The handoff to Andy Hartley. He bursts down inside. He's going to take it in from 14 yards out. It's Andy Hartley breaking tackles as he's done all day long.
Fine job right up the middle. It appears that the Bloomington Saints have just run out of gas. They not being able to score that last time. We'll watch the replay now. We'll see a play right up the middle. Fine job of blocking by the center of the line, Mike Green and Truckenbrod, and the rest of the offensive line. Darren Fortin did a fine job of opening up the hole and letting him score their 5th touchdown.
Tom will attempt an extra point out of the Chuck Hartley hold with 1:29 left in the football game, and the Hurricanes already on top 34-14. Will's kick is off to the left, and the score will remain Marian Central 34, Bloomington Central Catholic 14. And Bill, with 1:29 left, the Saints probably have, the only thing left they have to do, I suppose, is to save a little bit more face and try to take it in and get a score to make themselves feel a little bit better about being only second place. But what a couple of years for the Bloomington Central Catholic squad. As I mentioned a moment ago, 23-2, now going to drop to 23-3, but champions last year, second this year. A pretty good couple of years for an outstanding 2A program here in the Bloomington area.
Yes, they have nothing to be ashamed of, Dan. They're a fine football team. Some great individuals, Doug Mays, some of their linemen. They were outmanned a little bit by size in the line. Had a difficult time bringing down the big backs from Marian. The Marian team just kind of wore them down, and it's showing here in the 4th quarter.
Rich Hoover comes on to kick things off once again for the Marian Central Hurricanes. Nelson, Solkowski, and Cotton back deep to receive. A low squib kick taken at about the 36-yard line by an up man, and he gets out to the 47-yard line. So excellent field position as the Saints would like to get on the board one more time.
That was 88, I believe. The Kraus, the tight end, Dan Kraus, who got the ball that time, brought it up to about the 47-yard line. Pretty good field position, but 1:25 to go in the game and 20 points behind. Looks pretty bleak now, Dan.
Looks like, that's right, number 5, Dan Flynn, is going to come on and quarterback for the last set.
And there's quite a few changes for Marian in on the defense also, Dan. Both coaches giving their subs a chance to say, I played in the championship game.
And Flynn, on the quarterback keeper, gets almost 10 yards right at the middle against that second-team defense of the Hurricanes.
This is a time that both coaches are clearing the bench and making sure that every boy that hasn't been in the game gets an opportunity to say, I participated in the Class 2A championship.
Right, and Dan Flynn, number 5, will probably take over the controls of the Saints offense next season, being a junior. So he wants to get a little playoff action experience at quarterback. That's Cotton, number 42, and he may have the first down on the 2nd and 1.
That was number 22, Jim Bass, who's now playing defense, who normally only sees offense. Made a fine tackle.
1st and 10 for the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints. The clock winding down near the 30-second mark left in the football game, and already the celebrations going on the far sideline. Flynn rolls to his left. Stilling almost has him, and it's Remke. Looks like a face mask. The ball then almost picked off by number 28, Mark Kammermeyer, rather.
A face mask penalty down here, Dan, as he reached out trying to stop the quarterback from getting to the outside. Face mask is called. Be a 15-yard penalty against Marian. Basically, Dan, this has been a game without too many penalties. A couple here in the last quarter. So we have 17 seconds left, Dan. time for possibly a couple more plays.
And I'm sure the Saints would like to shove it in the end zone, and just as much the second team defense would like to stop them and show that they have a lot of talent there as well. Flynn looks to pass. He's throwing it up in the air for number 35. That will be Brett Binns, and the ball was just overthrown, and not a bad pass by Dan Flynn.
Pat McConville was there with him, reserve defensive back. That was that same fly pattern they've used a couple times today, and a couple times with success. One for a touchdown, one that set up a touchdown. But Pat McConville, defensive back, 5'8", 150, a senior, was there with the wide receivers.
13 seconds left in the football game. Flynn, again, straight back, looks upfield. He had number 87, and once again, he's not on our roster. There's no 87 on our roster for the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints, but was in and out of his hands. A nice hit being put on
by Kevin McConville.
Kevin McConville in the secondary. Again, another man who's been tough on the special teams all year and now gets a chance to show what he can do on the defense.
So he is playing the other defensive back. His brother, Pat, is on the other end. So they are playing the defensive back spots right now.
8 seconds left here in the 2A final. Flynn again looks downfield, wants that touchdown, throws in the flat, nearly picked off on the far sideline, and that would have been number 10, Pat McConville. 2 seconds still left in the football game.
You would like to have had that one, Dan, because he had a lot of sideline to run down that time because everybody was over on the near side of the field, and that ball was thrown across the field, was tipped, and Pat had a good opportunity there of grabbing a ball and possibly running pretty far.
And what a way that would have been to end a career for Pat McConville, a special teams player and a second-team defensive senior. He could have picked one off and taken it in for the final score of the state final. Didn't quite make the play, and this will be the last play of the football game, undoubtedly, with only 2 seconds left on the clock. Flynn again drops straight back, wants it deep, throws it downfield, and it's knocked away by Pat McConville to end the game. And you can see the pandemonium on the far sidelines. The Marian Central Hurricanes 34, Bloomington Central Catholic 14. And certainly we want, all of us here at TV3 Sports want to congratulate the Marian Central Class 2A champions, Coach Don Penza and his staff, and all the fine young men out of Marian Central High School who have brought an awful lot of thrills to the Woodstock area folks as they have gone from perhaps even underdogs to win the conference title to the 2A champions. And what a way they did it today, Bill.
Yes, in the pregame picks, they were only picked by the about third, rated about third. But here they came, undefeated, were able to handle the defending champions, who played a great ball game. It was a great high school football game, Dan. We saw good offense, good defense both ways.
We'll be back with some post-game talk right after these messages. You can see there the stand for the presentation of the Class 2A trophy. In the background, the pandemonium continues for the Marian Central Hurricanes.
There's a fortune in your future at McKenna
area to support their Hurricanes all season long, and they have given them an awful lot to be proud of in winning the 2A championship here this afternoon. And Bill, after a very, very defensive first half, an 8-8 halftime score with only Chris Brown on a 12-yard pass getting on the board for the Hurricanes, it became almost all Marian Central in the second half, as early in the third quarter, Andy Hartley took it in 9 yards. Then Dan Fortin added a 5-yard touchdown pass reception from Chuck Hartley. Chuck Hartley then took it in later on for an 11-yard run himself, and they closed things out with Andy Hartley on a 14-yard run. So they really took charge, took command of the line of scrimmage, and did the things that have brought them to this game.
They found a fine job of the offensive line, I thought, by Marian Central that time, coming out in the second half. Mike Green and Brian Truckenbrod and Frank Elminski, Darren Fortin, Kurt Wozni, all of them doing a fine job of blocking, opening up some good holes. We saw a beautiful job of maintaining their composure, not being worried when they were tied up 8-8, kept themselves in control of the game. took over the offensive line, and then their defense did the job and kept Marian Bloomington from coming down only on one score on a long pass.
Bill, we were concerned for the Hurricanes about the loss of Gary Tanyan, and certainly he was a fine young defensive tackle, and they were sorry to see him not be in there, but Kurt Wozni and several others who filled in on the defensive line did a tremendous job defensively, and they really weren't hurt too much by that, as people, normally on a championship team, people just rise to the occasion and fill in as we go down to the field now and listen in on the awards presentation.
At this time, the individual awards will be presented to Coach McIntyre and his team captains by Mr. John Dowling,
As you
who
can hear,
serves the Illinois High School
are about to award the second place trophy to John McIntyre of the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints, and his co-captains are up on the stand with him.
And now the second place trophy will be presented to the Saints of Bloomington Central Catholic High School, who finished the season with a final record of 11 wins and 2 losses. The principal of the school is Sister Mary Kramer. Presenting the trophy is Mr. Dowling. Bloomington Central Catholic, second place in Class 2A.
You see there the Bloomington Central Catholic co-captains leaving the stand with their 2A trophy, and we're about to have the presentation then of our own Marian Central Hurricanes and the Class 2A championship trophy.
And now will Coach Don Penza and the captains of state
The
champions.
trophy we got for second place, Dan. Even though the Bloomington boys are a little bit upset right now, they're very dejected. They still won't forget this game the rest of their lives.
And for the seniors who were here last year, and some of the juniors that played on the varsity last year, 2 trips in a row here to ISU for the state final has to be pretty exciting.
Well, you know they're disappointed. They probably figured they wanted to be defending champions and win it again. But they came up with very strong northern part of the state. Woodstock Hurricanes were able to put a stop to their reign of 2A championship. Now they're going to receive their trophy.
And we see the co-captains. There's Chuck Hartley with his arms upraised, Darren Forden on the crutches there, Gary Tanyan, the injured defensive lineman, one of the co-captains, Coach Penza, just to the left of, now walking across in front of his players to accept the medal for the championship of Class 2A.
And now this year's state championship team trophy for Class 2A will be presented to the Hurricanes of Woodstock Marian Central Catholic, who finished the season with a final record of 13 wins and no losses.
And they, as the PA announcer just said, an undefeated season for the Marian Central Hurricanes.
Just a beautiful job today. They did a fine job, and
Champions of Class 2A.
very excited group of young men.
Basically coming from nowhere, Bill. They were not really expected as the season got underway to be a powerhouse, but they took charge of a basically 4A conference in Northwest Suburban, had things under control the entire way, then marched into the playoffs and just basically annihilated everybody coming into the championship game, where they had a problem for a half, but then took charge and won the football game.
Here's a reminder to Marian Central Catholic fans. The fan buses will be leaving.
Once again, congratulations to Don Penza, Marian Central Hurricane football squad, the cheerleaders, the band, and all the people that have supported them all season long. The final score, once again, here from Illinois State University, Marian Central 34, Bloomington Central Catholic 14, and Marian Central is the 2A champion of the IHSA High School Football Playoffs.
For Marian Central, a championship won, and the beginning of a legacy for which Don Penza will always be remembered. Thank you for joining us on the special rebroadcast of the Marian Central 1983 state title game. We do this in memory of the coach.
I'm Pat McGowan. I came from Sacramento, California. The last 8 years I've played on the PGA Golf Tour. Even though we have great weather in Northern California, I decided to come here to North Carolina. The weather is even more beautiful. We can play 12 months of the year. And it's very important for a fellow on the PGA Golf Tour to be able to play every month of the year and to be able to practice in his weeks off during the winter. I can think of no better place in North Carolina to come.
I'm Peggy Kirk Bell, and I moved here 33 years ago to North Carolina because North Carolina has the most marvelous golf year-round. When you talk golf, you talk North Carolina.
Hi, my name is Dick Taylor. I'm editor of Golf World magazine. We publish on the heart of what I call the Mecca of golf, which is the Pinehurst Southern Pines area. But the whole state is a Mecca of golf. You can go to the beach and play links land. You can go to the mountains and play mountain courses. And right here, there must be 20 golf courses within 6 miles of each other, just dynamite.
I'm Vance Hefner, a professional golfer from North Carolina. I choose to play golf in North Carolina because of the great terrain we have for golf courses. The climate here, we can play golf 365 days a year, and we have some of the greatest design golf courses in the world.
It is a sport that demands both mental concentration and emotional control. A sport that is as complicated as trigonometry and as simple as hitting a ball. In golf, the lower the score, the higher you feel. The challenge of golf is the same as life itself. Man versus man. And that challenge is no greater than in North Carolina. To take on all comers. This is a state where the people have grown up with the sport. People who treat golf with the loving care and dignity it deserves. The absolute proof is reflected in the quality and condition of the courses. Over 400 of them. The Blue Ridge Mountains are open for golf 3 out of 4 seasons. The challenge here is the postcard beauty. Distractions come in many colors. The middle geographic region of North Carolina is called the Piedmont and warmly welcomes golfers year-round. The gentle hills roll on, creating a variety of stances and lies. bunkers that require dead-shot accuracy. The coastal region is North Carolina's face to the Atlantic. You play across and along ocean water that floods a grassy marshland. You nip off a shot from sandy soil and take a whack from a warm bed of pine needles. There's no real need for man-made roughs. Nature has created her own unique challenges. Golf is more than just an integral part of North Carolina's history. It is tradition. And that heritage lives and breathes inside the World Golf Hall of Fame at Pinehurst, North Carolina. In 1940, Ben Hogan won his first professional tournament at Pinehurst. In 1945, Byron Nelson began his PGA record of 11 consecutive tournament victories in Charlotte. Wake Forest University, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, as well as several other North Carolina colleges have graduated many top golfers, including Arnold Palmer. It is fitting that the World Golf Hall of Fame be situated on the 4th green of Pinehurst number 2. For this course is considered to be the finest work of famed golf course architect Donald Ross. It was here in North Carolina that he began his career. It is here in North Carolina that even today, golf architects and developers still find a challenge equal to any. Crystal mornings, tan afternoons, golf within easy reach of the cities, without the noise, without the crowds. Unless, of course, you count the fans who attend North Carolina's professional tournaments. Golfers from around the world have been attracted to such events as the Greater Greensboro Open, the LPGA Henry-Don Classic, the World Seniors, the Carolinas Women's Open. It is a state where great players come to play great golf on courses conceived by great minds for great purses.
I'm Jim Martin, and as you know, North Carolina is the golf state, and we're really going to have a great time out here this weekend.
Golf in North Carolina is fantastic.
I am loving it.
because I love North Carolina. It's beautiful. It's really like paradise, heavenly.
It's a wonderful day, and it's a wonderful group of people, and golf at Bermuda Run is always a pleasure. For most of us, anyway.
Now, what do I think of golf? I think I'm going to kill myself. That's what I think about golf.
Your greens are very slow and very tricky.
I got a 0 on one hole.
I want to tell you what I shot, but I'd like to live to that age.
I got an eagle on another hole.
It's a championship course, absolutely. It's a great course.
And the other 16 holes we're not talking about.
It's a lovely day, isn't it? It's beautiful here, and I'm thrilled to be here.
How you doing?
It's a beautiful day, and I'm thrilled. I don't play golf. Come on, to play tennis. They gave me the wrong club. Business. It's the name of the game. And the game is golf. Golf is being used as one of the largest attractions to bring new business to the state. To attract business, to transact business. And when you leave the office, you'll find that after a few minutes or hours flying time from anywhere in the country, an airline will set you down within minutes of a golf course. And North Carolina's modern new airports guarantee you won't waste any time getting from terminal to tee-off. You can't really call golf an obsession in North Carolina, though some spouses may disagree. No, it's more a way of life. When someone asks, "Are you playing any golf?" the standard reply is, "Only in the afternoons."
The love of the game is best illustrated by the families that make their home their golf. There may be more private places to live, but none with more beautiful surroundings.
One golfer's challenge is another's birdie. So when we speak of the challenge of North Carolina golf, do we agree on its definition? Challenge, America's longest hole, officially sanctioned by the PGA, is a par 6 found on Billy Graham's home course of Black Mountain. Challenge, 2 holes on one huge green. Challenge, the sandhills of North Carolina, where you can play golf for 2 weeks and never play the same course. Challenge, the 5th hole at Holly Springs that drops 400 feet from tee to green. Variety Vacation Land, North Carolina's nickname is well-deserved. And to the avid golfer, it means the promise of an unforgettable experience. The experience of playing golf year-round. The choice of any terrain. And the challenge that is uniquely North Carolina golf.